Peter Jackson just announced yet another massive Lord of the Rings film project, and this one is all about those crucial missing chapters from the Fellowship of the Ring that we never got in the original trilogy. And that means we get Tom Bombadil. For 25 years, it has been the single most debated omission in cinema history. When Peter Jackson adapted The Fellowship of the Ring, he had to make the brutal, albeit entirely necessary decision to cut a massive chunk of The Hobbit's early journey. No Crick Hollow, no Old Forest, no Barrow Wights, and most famously, no Tom Bombadil. If you're new here, my name is Gibby, and this is Fact or Fantasy. Typically, we talk about the deeply layered lore of Middle-earth on this channel, and I don't normally do breaking news videos. But Peter Jackson just dropped an announcement so monumental and frankly so surprising that we need to stop everything to talk about it. Warner Brothers has officially announced a new Lord of the Rings film project titled The Lord of the Rings: Shadow of the Past. It is a stealth adaptation of those exact missing chapters from The Fellowship of the Ring, but it's how they are adapting them, the framing device, the time jump, and the creative team involved that makes me question, is this a cash grab, or will it be the most fascinating and risky Middle-earth movie ever made? So today, let's break down the details, dive deep into the source material to see how it fits into Tolkien's timeline, and discuss the philosophical minefield of finally putting the ultimate enigma, Tom Bombadil, on the big screen. Let's start with the people behind the camera, because if this announcement had come from anyone else, I would have immediately written it off as franchise fatigue. Peter Jackson is officially on board as a producer, and he has pretty much confirmed that he's bringing back the legacy team. Because they're currently making The Hunt for Gollum, Peter Jackson has said that they're working with Weta Workshop to handle practical effects, armor, miniatures, and more, and it also means that legendary conceptual artists like John Howe and Grant Major are returning to design the world. So we can assume that if they're working on The Hunt for Gollum with Peter Jackson right now, then they'll also work on The Shadow of the Past with him in the future. I'm sure that the goal here is clearly visual continuity. They probably want this film to feel like a lost artifact, a movie filmed concurrently with the original trilogy in 1999. But the most shocking part of this announcement is the script. The writing team is none other than Philippa Boyens, the Oscar-winning lore master behind the original trilogy scripts, partnering with undisputed Tolkien superfan Stephen Colbert, alongside his son Peter Colbert. Now, being a fan doesn't necessarily make you a filmmaker, but calling Stephen Colbert a fan is probably an understatement. This is a man who reads and speaks Elvish, who famously defeated Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens in Tolkien trivia, and who possesses an encyclopedic knowledge of the legendarium that rivals actual Tolkien scholars. The fact that this project is his brainchild gives me a strange sense of comfort. If anyone is going to fight tooth and nail to ensure Tom Bombadil is handled with respect, it's him. And with Colbert leaving The Late Show this summer, he is moving immediately into active production. So no matter what you think of him personally, we can leave that out of this. There's no doubt that he is a die-hard Tolkien fan. This brings us to the actual plot, which is where things get incredibly complicated. How do you make a movie about the middle of the Fellowship of the Ring without disrupting the masterpiece we already have? Well, as Stephen Colbert said in a video today with Peter Jackson, you do it through a framing device. The story of Shadows of the Past is set 14 years after Frodo Baggin departs for the Undying Lands. The narrative follows an older Samwise Gamgee, Meriadoc Brandybuck, and Peregrine Took. At this point in the timeline, these aren't the frightened hobbits who hid under a tree root from a ring wraith. Sam is the mayor of the Shire, Merry is the master of Buckland, and Pippin is the Thane of the Shire. They are the seasoned, respected leaders of their people. So far, what's been revealed about this script is that the story goes like this. They reunite to retrace the steps of their very first adventure, serving as a flashback mechanism to show us the perils they faced with Frodo in the Old Forest and the Barrow Downs, events never caught on film. But this won't just be a nostalgic trip down memory lane. Another key point of the plot that's been revealed so far is that it will involve Sam's daughter, Eleanor Gamgee. I am incredibly excited about the inclusion of Eleanor. In Tolkien's writings, Eleanor gets more description and backstory than almost any other child of the Fellowship. We know from the appendices that she even became a queen's maid to Arwen and served under her in Gondor. And she also eventually inherits the Red Book of Westmarch from Sam when he he leaves to the Undying Lands many years later. So it's not totally out of the question that she would be deeply involved in Sam's life and in this plot. According to the synopsis that's been released so far, Eleanor discovers a long-buried secret. This discovery suggests that the quest was nearly lost before the hobbits ever reached the Prancing Pony and Bree, and that Tom Bombadil's intervention wasn't just a whimsical detour, but a foundational linchpin that kept the ring from falling into the hands of the enemy early on. And that brings us to the elephant, or rather the large yellow boots, in the room: Tom Bombadil. For decades, readers have debated who or what Tom is. Is he a Maya? Is he an incarnation of Middle-earth itself? But Tolkien was actually very explicit about Tom in his letters. He wrote, "Even in a mythical age, there must be some enigmas, as there always are. Tom Bombadil is one." And I've made multiple videos about this character, so you can check them out using the links in the description. But the main point is that Tolkien deliberately left Tom unexplained, but that's the point. And this is why I'm kind of terrified and cautiously optimistic about this movie. Cinema is a medium that demands narrative momentum. It demands explanations. The reason Peter Jackson cut Bombadil in 2001 was because Tom completely stops the forward motion of the plot. If this new film tries to explain Tom Bombadil, if Eleanor's secret discovery is some kind of definitive answer as to what species Tom is, or if they're trying to tie his magic directly into the machinations of Sauron, it will ruin the character. However, if Stephen Colbert and Philippa Boyens understand the text the way that I hope they do, they will let Tom be exactly what Tolkien intended: an enigma, a force of nature who saves the hobbits from Old Man Willow and the terrifying undead Barrow Wights, simply because he is the master of the wood. There are some massive logistical hurdles here. Set many years after the original films, it is going to be nearly impossible to tell this framing story without Sean Astin, Dominic Monaghan, and Billy Boyd. The idea of seeing them return, perhaps with subtle de-aging or makeup to reflect their older fourth age status, is both thrilling and nerve-wracking. I've seen plenty of fans online talking about franchise fatigue. Many of them are arguing that if Warner Brothers is going to dig back into the lore, they should have adapted The Scouring of the Shire instead. But since that was wrapped up in The Return of the King and they're trying to remain accurate to the book and the movie canon, it would be kind of impossible to retroactively add The Scouring of the Shire. Whereas with these specific chapters of the Old Forest and Tom Bombadil, you could argue that they happened in the original movies, but just never got shown. Is it a risk? Absolutely. Putting the ultimate literary mystery on screen is a tightrope walk, but with this specific creative team and a deep reverence for Tolkien's original words, it might just be a journey worth taking. But what do you guys think? Are you ready to see Tom Bombadil and Goldberry on the big screen, or should some mysteries remain hidden in the Old Forest? Let me know down in the comments. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'll wait for further details. As long as this isn't just an early April Fool's joke, which it might be. Anyway, like I said, I don't normally do breaking news videos, so be sure to subscribe if you want some deep lore videos that'll be coming out very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.